Hello everyone, welcome to this afternoon's webinar. It's great to see so many of you joining. We are only after starting the recording, so we are going to wait perhaps for another minute or two to see is everyone able to join the webinar live without any technical issues, and then we are going to start. We are going to start presenting our International Business Law Masters first, where Dr. Jonathan McCarthy is going to tell us a bit more about his academic program that he coordinates, followed by Professor Nessa Lynch, who will be talking about the LLM in law, technology, and innovation. We will open the floor then to questions. So anyone who is here joining us live, please feel free to type in a question in the chat or raise your hand and unmute and ask us. We look forward to getting to know everyone in the audience today. And just bear with us for another minute or two before we formally start. So we may start by introducing the team here at UCC at the UCC School of Law. So my own name is Zita. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Thank you for joining us live. This webinar is being recorded, so the recording will be shared with all the participants who registered for this webinar online but might not be able to join us live. As we already mentioned, we will start by introducing the International Business Law program, the master's degree that we run here at UCC School of Law. Dr. Jonathan McCarthy is going to talk us through the program that he himself coordinates, followed by Professor Nessa Lynch, who is going to introduce the Law, Technology and Innovation program that is run here at UCC School of Law as well. We will open the floor to students and to any questions that the audience might have following the two presentations. So Jonathan, if it is okay with you, we might start with your academic program, the International Business Law.
Great, no problem. Thank you again, Zita, for organising this event, and thank you to all the students for making the time to attend. My name is Dr. Jonathan McCarthy, a lecturer here at the School of Law. I'll just share on the screen now a set of presentation slides, which I'm sure Zita and Aoife will be more than happy to make available to registered students. So hopefully you can see this on screen already. And these slides are addressing the LLM International Business Law. As I said, my name is Dr. Jonathan McCarthy. I'm the Programme Director for the programme. Over the past couple of years, there have been a series of reforms and changes and improvements introduced to the programme. As of next year, it will be titled International Business Law, but the current academic year is the final group of students who are taking the LLM Business Law degree. Now, even though there are certain new modules being introduced into the programme, overall, the key features of the programme will remain intact, and it's been a very popular programme over the past couple of years. So, just to outline what the main aims of the programme are. So firstly, to identify and to explore interconnected topics of international business law, as suggested by the title itself. Then to enhance understanding and knowledge of relevant Irish, European and international law, regulation and policy, place developments in business law in broader economic and social contexts, and then to allow students to demonstrate original, independent and critical thinking. And then a core element key aspect of all of the LLM programs, students will be required to conduct specialized research in business law through the format of an LLM dissertation. So those are the intrinsic aims, the objectives of the program. In terms of eligibility requirements, and what are the admission criteria for the LLM International Business Law program? Well, applicants should hold a minimum of a 2-1 honours primary degree in law. So the UCC equivalent of a minimum 2-1 degree in law, and or relevant third level educational qualifications and or relevant professional experience. So that's to allow recognition of prior learning. Just to clarify, those students who already have a primary degree in law, perhaps a BCL degree in UCC, you would require a minimum 2H1 2-1 honours degree in order to be eligible. But if you have not completed a primary degree in law previously, you may have relevant third level educational qualifications. You may have relevant professional experience, which will be taken account of when your application is being considered. So my advice to any students who may perhaps be attending today who do not have an undergraduate qualification law, who may not be currently completing an undergrad law degree, well, if you're completing a degree which may have some relevance to international business law, if you believe that you have professional experience which may be relevant to the content of the program, these features of your application will be considered on their merits. So applications do allow for recognition of prior learning. So it's not to discount, it's not to preclude any law applicants from applying for the program. And, previous years we've had plenty of graduates of commerce and accounting, business related programs, and other areas of disciplines and other areas of life which have gone on to successfully complete the LLM business law degree. So in terms of the program content then, for core and elective modules, in total, students are required to complete 90 credits. So 90 credits in total must be completed in order to satisfy the program criteria. Now, 30 credits will be represented by research-based modules. So the LLM dissertation, that will constitute 25 of those credits. So you can see that the dissertation makes a substantial bulk of the overall credits for the program. But then a legal research methods and writing module worth 50 credits must also be completed. Now, LW6652, legal research methods and writing, is essentially a preparatory module. It accompanies the work that you will be completing for the dissertation. It's designed to prepare students for what's required in terms of the research, in terms of referencing techniques, structure, basic skills of legal writing, which are necessary for undertaking the dissertation. Those are 2 compulsory or core modules. Then students may complete 60 credits of elective thought modules. These are divided into a core module of business law and practice for 10, and then elective modules, which are subdivided by List A and List B. So just to summarize this, 90 credits in total. You must complete compulsory core modules worth 30 credits. These are research-based modules. You must complete your dissertation. You must complete legal research methods and writing. But then in terms of thought modules, you have a compulsory module, business law and practice, 10 credits. And then you have your elective thought modules, and they're subdivided by List A and List B. The compulsory module here, business law and practice, it is distinctive to the LLM International Business Law program. And typically within that program, we integrate guest contributions and presentations from professionals and practitioners. And it's a module which is particularly enjoyed, usually, by students of the program, because it does give you that first-hand opportunity to meet those professionals and practitioners who are confronted with these issues of business law in their day-to-day lives, their day-to-day practice. But in relation to the elective modules, and as I said, these are subdivided into List A and List B, you can complete at least 40 credits of List A modules. And if you're concentrating on my wording here, at least 40 credits may be completed, but you can complete your full quota, your full 50 credits of elective modules entirely from List A. Now, these are all elective modules, but if you want, you can complete all of the thought modules from List A. And as you can see here from the list, it reflects the breadth, the variety of different subjects which are encompassed within international business law. And business law in itself is kind of very open-ended. It's a very broad topic of law. And you can see there are some recent additions to the program offerings like comparative family property law, contemporary issues in international law, EU constitutional law. We've international law and the SDGs, international commercial arbitration. So all of these are brand new modules which will be added to the program offering for next year. But essentially, this program relies upon existing research expertise and teaching strengths within the School of Law, as epitomized by modules like ADR, processes and practice, negotiation and mediation, managing complex disputes. All of these modules are very much stemming from existing expertise with regard to ADR in the law school. Similarly, with law and policy of the EU digital market and digital finance and fintech, law and regulation, we've academics, researchers, teachers within the law school who have considerable international profiles for these subjects, and the same with business and human rights. And my colleague here on the call, Professor Lynch, will be speaking about the Law, Technology and Innovation Programme. She's the coordinator for law, regulation and emerging technology. And there is significant overlap as well between the modules being offered in this programme and Professor Lynch's programme of law, technology and innovation. So these are List A modules, and they can be characterized as being effectively pure LLM modules. Much of the assessment is continuous in nature, involves essay assignments, case study exercises, perhaps in-class presentations or online learning journals or journal entries. And the continuous assessment, which is associated with the List A modules, can contrast with the type of assessment involved in the List B modules, because the List B modules for this program are predominantly undergraduate modules. And you may choose up to 10 credits as part of your 50 credits overall of elective modules for this program. And if I wasn't the program director for LLM International Business Law, I would honestly say that this program, perhaps relative to some of its counterparts and some of the other LLM programs in the law school, offers students very real plenty of choice. There are very few other programs which do allow students choose from such a range of undergraduate modules. So you can choose up to 10 credits of undergraduate modules. They include subjects like commercial law, employment law, financial services law and regulation, company law, revenue and income tax law, ESG module as well. But what I would say is a word of caution and guidance, which I've learned from my experience from students of this program over the past couple of years, is that after a period of time, after a couple of months, the students who are completing the List A modules, those LLM modules, will become so accustomed and so familiar to continuous assessment that you may fear actually a return to the exam-based assessment which is associated with the List B modules. But nonetheless, it is salient, it's a key feature of the program. It does give you that flexibility and that degree of choice whereby you can study undergraduate List B modules up to a total of 10 credits. But again, it's possible to choose entirely List A modules if you so wish. 25 credits of the overall 90 are devoted towards a dissertation. A dissertation gives students that opportunity to carry out focused research on a particular issue of business law, and students will be allocated a supervisor from the staff of the School of Law. What's the work involved in dissertation? Well, you must complete 12,500 words of a dissertation. That's excluding reasonable footnotes, excluding a bibliography, table of contents, etc. And you must also complete a presentation on your dissertation topic as part of the Legal Research Methods and Writing module, LW6652. But again, an invaluable opportunity for students to specialise in an issue of business law which they are enthusiastic about, which they're passionate about. And it could also be a stepping stone, perhaps, towards further research, maybe PhD level. And through the programme, as you've gathered from the list of List A modules and List B modules, there are specialist subjects being offered in this programme. And these subjects are being taught, delivered by academics whose research and work can be found in national, European and international publications. The law school has specific expertise in subjects such as e-commerce law, consumer rights, alternative dispute resolution, ADR, corporate governance and sustainability, technology law, and regulation of digital finance and fintech. And as I noted when I was reviewing the list just a while ago, there are new modules being added continually to cater to student demand. Over the past couple of years, it has been observed by students that there is a need for modules in terms of international trade law, international commercial arbitration. Those modules are being assimilated, are now being offered for next year's programme. And all of these subjects are central to modern business practices like e-commerce law, consumer rights, ADR, corporate governance, sustainability, issues arising from technologies and business practice, digital finance, fintech. They are becoming endemic in modern business practice. I mean, when you think about the moment whereby graduates will be attending job interviews, it's often the basis of a conversation. It's often an interview question to talk about your knowledge of e-commerce laws affecting modern practice, or what kind of issues you think are materializing regard to technology law. So a program like this very much equips graduates for the future, for their future careers. And we have a comprehensive combination of subjects being offered in the program, relative to Irish universities and relative to international universities, who also offer similar kind of international business or international commercial law programs. And the name change, which you're witnessing for next year, International Business Law, that's a reflection of more of a globalized outlook. The program content is quite internationalized, as you've seen from the list of modules. And the objective behind this name change and the various changes which have been introduced over the past couple of years has been to appeal to international students. But having said that, we also appeal to Irish graduates and indeed homegrown UCC graduates. So a program like this, a qualification in international business law, it will enable Irish graduates to pursue and thrive in careers abroad. And we've seen that over the past couple of years in the array of careers which have been pursued by graduates of what was formerly called the business law LLM. Like students and graduates have embarked upon careers in legal practice, including specialist areas like corporate law and commercial law. They've pursued careers with regulatory authorities and agencies in compliance and business consultancy. We've had graduates who've pursued careers in financial services, taxation. But another area which should not be underestimated and which you should be cognizant about is the possibility for further research after you have achieved an LLM degree. Because if you've enjoyed the process of working on your dissertation to such an extent that you'd like to keep going and complete further research, an LLM can very much be the foundation for PhD level research. And so we're always within the law school trying to nurture and trying to encourage students at LLM level to consider continuing that research towards PhD level. Again, that's an important area for career opportunities for graduates of this program. Okay, so very finally then, a reminder, contact me at any stage. My email address is provided here in the final presentation slide, jonathan.mccarthy@ucc.ie. For additional information about the application procedures for the program, please see the program website, the link again provided here on the presentation slide. But I'd be more than glad to address any questions which the audience may have at this point. And thank you again for your time in attending. And thanks also to Zita for organising today's event. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan, for the very interesting and informative presentation. And just before we move on to our colleague NASA's presentation, we just want to remind our audience that we have a wonderful student here with us. And if there are any students who want to ask a student, we have Neve here on the call to share her experience of the program so far. She's currently registered in the business law LLM program. So thank you, Neve, for joining, and we will give you an opportunity to share your experience so far with the audience after Professor Lynch's presentation that is coming next.
Hi everyone, and sorry for sharing my slides slightly early there. I was getting ahead of myself. So thanks so much to Dr. McCarthy for his extensive presentation, because a lot of what Dr. McCarthy has said in general terms about admission criteria and the electives on offer also applies to my program. So it's really useful that his presentation has gone first. So Zita, can you just let me know, are those slides coming through okay?
Yes, they are. Yes,
okay,
they are.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So I'll concentrate to avoid repetition. I'll be concentrating just on the aspects that are particular to my program. So just to give an overview first on the program. So the LLM in Law, Technology and Innovation is a program that we revitalized last year. So the cohort that are coming through, we've just had our first cohort come through. So the UCC has had a very long-standing expertise in this area of the intersections between law, technology, and innovation. And so we had a long-standing program called the LLM in Intellectual Property and E-Law. So we built on the strengths of that program, but just really uplifted it and revised some of the content just to take account of the developments in the field. So in relation to international students, and I suppose for Irish students and EU students as well, Ireland is obviously a nexus and a centre for global regulatory proceedings in relation to law and tech. So as you might know, like a large majority of the world's international technology companies are headquartered in Dublin. And this makes Ireland a very interesting jurisdiction in terms of how these global regulatory trends play out. So Ireland is a really interesting place to study this area, and obviously then with some career options available for people who do have skills in this area. So really our cohort in relation to this LLM is composed of two major groups. So we have people who already have a law degree, and they're either, I suppose, just coming out of their undergraduate study and they want to specialise in this area of the law, or we are also open to people who don't have a law degree. So Dr. McCarthy talked about some of the ways that we assess people in relation to that, who've got suitable backgrounds but are looking to specialise in this area of the law. So that would be our two main cohorts. So building on what Dr. McCarthy has said in relation to course content, so we have our core modules. So you have the legal and research and writing module, which allows you to build those core skills, particularly for people who are coming back to study after a while away from law study, or who are new to the area of law study. And our program, like Dr. McCarthy's program, offers that opportunity to specialise, to have that extended essay, the dissertation format on a chosen topic, which is obviously written under supervision. So in terms of the compulsory modules for the programme, so people choose between intellectual property law or law and policy of the EU digital market, which are both obviously private law subjects related to e-commerce and IP. In the second semester, we have law of cybercrime, which is a criminal law subject focused on how new technologies are impacting the criminal system. Our flagship module really is the Law, Regulation and Emerging Tech course, which is newly developed. So this is a very diverse course looking at law and regulatory theory across a number of spheres. So including the more kind of public law, state regulation aspect, and private law aspects. We have a lot of students from different programs coming into this, and a lot of people from different jurisdictions, so it tends to be quite good discussion. So we also will have a new module starting next year, which is the Law, Technology and Innovation in Context, which brings in or engages a lot of our colleagues from practice and from the public sector. So my position in Law, Technology and Innovation is in partnership with Matheson, which is one of Ireland's leading law firms in terms of this area. So we engage those partnerships with people coming in to talk to us. And then, as Dr. McCarthy has described, we have a huge range of modules across the LLM, a lot of opportunity for choice across the business law modules that we talked about. A lot of people, if they're interested in tech, might be interested in the human rights aspects, the environmental aspects, and then that ability as well to pick from the undergraduate modules if you want to upskill or deepen your knowledge in aspects such as company, financial and tax law. So I won't spend an enormous time on that because Dr. McCarthy has explained our offerings, and those are obviously quite They change from year to year based on, our staff profile, who's available. So there's always a fantastic choice across a range of topics. So in relation to the teaching format, so like the rest of our LLM programs here at UCC, we have a focus on the smaller group in-person teaching. So in my own personal teaching, I have a lot of focus on participation and engagement. So something that students feed back to us that's very useful is that I have a lot of emphasis on presentation, so developing presentation skills, developing those kind of oral presentation skills in class. And for people who are coming back part-time or who are working as well, that's very possible to have a part-time enrollment, because the seminars are generally in 2-hour blocks with a once weekly cadence. So, there is a lot of flexibility there. And so obviously with the contemporary nature of our study area, we have a lot of guest speakers from practice and the public sector. So in terms of what we expect our graduates to have, obviously with the area of law and technology, the EU is a major player in the very volatile regulatory landscape. So you'd expect to graduate with a very good knowledge of aspects of the EU regulatory landscape. We have a focus in the programme both on the private law aspects, in terms of IP and the ability to do some of the modules that Dr. McCarthy has mentioned, like fintech, where you're focusing more on private law aspects, and also then obviously the public ones. My own area would be surveillance and policing. So also engaging in that really important aspect of human rights in the digital environment. As we mentioned, Ireland is really the place to be in terms of where the big decisions are being made or not being made in some cases in relation to the regulation of global tech. We have a big focus on aspects of the digital economy, so e-commerce and fintech, and the risks and challenges, particularly in relation to the cybercrime aspects, which are so prevalent. And obviously, although when people think about emerging tech, they often jump straight to AI. It's not the only emerging tech that we look at, because I like to give people that grounding in what's happening now, but what might happen in the future as well. And we obviously have a large focus on regulation and governance of AI. So I'll stop sharing my screen now, but obviously we've had a lot of our graduates go into very diverse roles, so obviously people going into more traditional legal roles, but Ireland, particularly in the Dublin metropolitan area, has a lot of these tech companies, and there's a lot of newer roles, I suppose, in relation to AI officers, ethics roles, regulatory and compliance, that feed off some of these skills and attributes as well. And I suppose the point being that because the regulatory system, particularly for aspects like AI, is really only getting going now, a lot of the roles, the regulatory roles that are coming out, are new skill sets. And I think the skills, knowledge and experience that you would gain through this master's would set you up well for those legal roles, but also those more compliance and regulatory roles that are coming out very quickly. So that's the end of my formal presentation. As I said, a lot of what Dr. McCarthy said in relation to the recognition of prior learning, and the aspect that we are open to non-law graduates, if you're able to demonstrate to us that you have that skills, knowledge and experience, that you'll be able to thrive in the programme. So don't think that it's a kind of a black and white assessment for admission as well. We do have a good look at your experience. So if you're preparing your application, it's really useful to highlight if you've had work experience, if you've done any kind of micro credentials, things like that. Those are really useful for us in assessing whether you'll be able to, whether you're suitable for the programme and whether you'll be able to succeed. So that's the end of my formal presentation, but very happy to elaborate on any of the points that I've raised or answer any specific questions.
Thank you, Nessa, so much for your informative presentation and for sharing all the details about the program that you coordinate, the Law, Technology and Innovation Masters. Now, before we open the floor to questions, we are going to allow Neve, one of our currently registered students in the Business Law Master's degree, to come in and perhaps share her experience of the program to date, her plans for the future in terms of what happens after the graduation from the master's degree this spring, and possibly what made her apply in the first place. So, Neve, if there is anything that you want to share with us, you have the opportunity to do so.
So Zita, Neve has posted a message there in the chat. I think all participants' microphones and cameras are disabled, so she can speak. I've responded to a couple of questions there in the chat. So again, the same would apply for Professor Lynch's program. Like students asking in terms of their background and their previous education qualifications, through recognition of prior learning for any applications which are being received, um, previous work experience, professional experience, including internships and placements, will be taken into account. So I think it is imperative that you put as much information, as much detail as possible into your application. Like it will be assessed by all the program directors. There's no kind of priority or no precedence being given towards a law background. I think the student there who's asking questions on chat, maybe from an engineering background. And actually, over the past couple of years, there have been students from engineering and science backgrounds who have successfully completed the LLM Business Law program. So it's a question really of putting as much information as possible into your application and just convincingly demonstrating why you're worthy, why you're deserving of a place on the program. Like I said, as much information as possible. It doesn't necessarily have to be educational qualifications, internships, placements. Any kind of law-related work experience would also be very beneficial. So I think we've sound again there for Neve. So Neve is a current LLM Business Law student, an excellent student of that, and hopefully she's going to speak very glowingly about the program.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Jonathan. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah? Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Neve. I'm actually in the LLM Business Law too, and I was a student of Nessa and Jonathan's classes this year. I'll speak a bit about my background. So I'm coming from a UCC. I did the Bachelor of Law here too. And I decided I want to do the Masters because I have plans to go to King's Lynn in the future. And I wanted to do a Masters that was quite broad and that would cover a wide range of business law areas. And I thought this was a good choice, that it would give me that opportunity to go into whatever area I'd like in the future. And I know Jonathan spoke a lot about the programs and the modules. So maybe I'll go from my personal experience, maybe of it. Regarding professional opportunities as well, I think it's so relevant, the modules you're doing and what you're able to talk about. Like I recently interviewed for an in-house position at a large multinational corporation in Cork, and the interviewers told me all the topics I was doing, all the modules were very relevant to commercial practice, to corporate practice. And I think this would be so beneficial for anyone who maybe doesn't know that they want to go into a specific area, but likes business law generally. And secondly, in the classes as well, the people that you're with are so diverse and broad. They're all coming from different backgrounds. I thought it would be, initially, I thought it would be a lot of people my age, but it's actually people who are a bit older than me, who are lawyers, who are clerks to judges, who've worked in policy from all different countries as well, not just Ireland. So it's really interesting when you're looking at these legislation, these regulations from different countries, you can see someone's perspective from Asia or from Europe as well, or America even, like what they think about it and what their view is. So it's really like a broad range, and I think you get a better education. And these people that you're with in classes as well are helping you learn, so you're working together as well. And next I'll speak about the dissertation. So the dissertation as well, you have quite a long lead to choose what you'd like to do. If anything comes up during the year that you're interested in or that might have perked your ears up, it might have been something you thought about you want to do in before the masters, something that a professor had said in a lecture or like had Laid mentioned to, but didn't go into in depth. And it gives you that chance to really explore it and to investigate that area, because maybe it's something you want to do later on in your career, as Jonathan said, or maybe it's something you want to work in as well. And just for my own dissertation, actually, so I was in a law and policy of the European Digital Union class, and one of the professors brought up that there is not much regulation about the legal standing of emojis in commercial contracts, and it could be a big issue in years to come. So I thought it'd be an interesting space to do this research and to actually contribute to the academic commentary in that area. So in the future, if there was EU legislation coming in, maybe a policy, someone working in policy would actually look at my dissertation and it could contribute towards that as well, because it's going to be a growing area in the next couple of years, I think. That's it really. I'll leave my email in the chat, and if anyone wants to email me further or ask me about my personal experience, or if anyone has any questions in the chat, I can answer that too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ni, for sharing your experience and your future plans. It's very inspiring to hear such a young lady talking about all these incredible research areas. So thank you for joining us live. We are going to open the floor now to the audience. Please feel free to ask any questions. Ask me from the student perspective, or ask one of our program coordinators if you have any questions specific to the programs that they were presenting on. You can type a question in the chat, or you can raise a hand, or you can let us know if you want to unmute and possibly join us with a video on.
So just in responding to some of the chat questions, like the same for Professor Lynch's program, in that I think the general advice would be for applicants to include as much information as possible. Like, please be assured that all applications will be judged on their merits, as much information as possible where it is relevant to the program. Don't feel that you're under any disadvantage if you're coming from a non-law program or non-law background in terms of your existing qualifications. As I said, over the past couple of years, we've had graduates of the LLM programs who've completed undergraduate qualifications in a variety of different backgrounds. So it's no kind of particular precedence, no priority being given to law graduates. I should say as well, like this is common to both programs, LLM International Business Law and LLM Law Technology and Innovation, that there's plenty of interaction as well with professionals and practitioners. Like Professor Lynch will speak about the experience from her own program, but like for modules like business law in practice, we integrate a class visits to RDJ, the law firm. There's always partners and practitioners of law firms and other areas of business who will speak to students directly. So, I mean, that's a very important advantage. It's a very appealing feature of the LLM programs within the School of Law. Professor Lynch, I mean, I know that involvement with practitioners, engagement with practitioners is an important element of your program as well.
Yeah, that's right, Dr. McCarthy. And so, for instance, in our our Friday law and context class, like we had a law and tech partner last Friday, and we've had Dr. Barry Scannell, who's an AI expert. We've had people from the public sector. So I suppose what's great in the LLM program, generally, we've a lot of contact with our graduates, and they've got a great loyalty to UCC. So a lot of the people that we would invite in, would be former undergraduate students or LLM students. So there's a great network there. And that might distinguish as well Cork from some of the bigger city universities in Ireland, that, it's a relatively small city, but a very global city, but people are fiercely loyal to UCC and to Cork. And that can be very good for your career going forward. I would just pick up on one thing that Dr. McCarthy said about the applications. Just really try and avoid the use of AI in your application, because reviewing applications both for LLM and for PhDs, unfortunately a lot of people think if they write up something with AI with fancy words that it's going to look impressive, but actually it doesn't, because I think it gives us doubts about, you know, obviously compliance with standards around academic integrity, but a lot of these look really boilerplate. So I'd prefer to see some information that perhaps had a couple of errors or spelling errors in it, but I know that the person actually read it. So, you know, you definitely see people who've just put a prompt in to AI and it's generated, you know, it'll say like, Professor Lynch, I really want to engage with your research. And I just know, I can see it's an AI prompt. So you're much better, even if you might feel that you might make a grammatical error if English isn't your first language. I'd much prefer to see you know, that very genuine statement rather than someone just putting a prompt into ChatGPT. So just picking up on your point there, Liam, I've just seen it in the chat. So in my program at the moment, there isn't any exams, so it's all continuous assessment. And you'll find that in the LLM program as a whole. And yes, the dissertation is standard. So our LLM cohort as a whole comes together for the legal research and writing cohort. Modules, so that you get to meet the people from all the programs. And the dissertation process is structured centrally. So again, you'll be mixing in with others, but obviously it'll be in the area, the specialist area. So yes, it's continuous assessment. That could be essays, it could be group work, it could be presentations in class. So there is a bit of diversity, but you won't see exams at the LLM level generally.
Yeah, and Liam, the same requirements for dissertation across the board for all the LLM programs. So it's 25 credits for LLM International Business Law, 12,500 words, excluding the reasonable footnotes. But remember that for a dissertation for international business law, it has to be based on international business law. So it has to be a business law related topic. But again, the same procedures will be allocated a supervisor from the staff of the law school, a great opportunity to kind of specialize and explore a topic in greater depth. I sometimes feel that it's approached as being more intimidating than it's worth by students. Students can be very daunted by the prospect of completing a dissertation, but you'll find after both semesters of the academic year of completing the thought modules across List A or List B or whatever, you'll find that after a while you've developed great experience. You've become so familiar with the work involved in continuous assessment that pragmatically you can think about a dissertation as being divided up into essay assignments, and then you have an introduction, a conclusion. So the dissertation can seem like kind of a grand opus, some kind of literary work at the end of the year, but you will find that after all of your work across both semesters, you'll be well positioned, you'll be well capable of completing the work on the dissertation. But yeah, the same requirements for the LLM International Business Law program. To elaborate on what Nessa was saying there about applications, the personal statement is something which many of us, when we're considering applications, will pay particular attention to. So it is very important that you avoid the use of AI-based software. And even if you aren't using AI-based software, I sometimes notice if you're looking at a personal statement in an application, there could be some detail included in the personal statement, like how I first developed an interest in business law from, say, an internship or a placement or a course that I've completed, maybe an online course. And then there's no further information about that in the other documentation. There may be just a bare allusion to the bare mention to it in the personal statement. So, do give time towards crafting and towards developing your personal statements. Put effort into your application and put as much information as possible, because all the applications will be evaluated and all of your experiences will be taken into account. So from all of our talking there, I see Melissa throw her hand up for quite some time. Melissa, do you want to ask a question?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
First of all, thank you, Professor McCarthy and Professor Lynch, for the great presentation, and Neve for sharing your experience. My question is more regarding the general application, because I already applied in February for the ADR LLM, and now I'm wondering, like, I would maybe want to make a second application, but I'm not sure if the ADR application is already submitted and like reviewed currently. So I know, or I read somewhere online that once you have an offer, you only have a certain amount of days to accept it. So if I would make a new application now, like, how is the time frame? How are the dates? When will it get reviewed and all of this?
Mm-hmm. Melissa, do you have a conditional offer, or is it a full offer for the ADR program?
No, I don't have the offer yet. I'm
Okay.
waiting, hoping for
Yeah.
it.
Okay, so look, in that event, you are actually free to submit an application for another program. I presume either Professor Lynch or I have made such a convincing job of marketing our programs that we've tempted you away from the ADR program. But no, if you haven't received an offer, in that case, you are free to submit an application for another program. And as well for students who are presenting applications or submitting applications, and if you're being issued with a conditional offer, that can be quite typical, and that it could be pending, it could be subject to your final undergraduate results, or it could be subject, it could be on condition to further information being provided. So very many applicants may be issued with conditional offers, and it's just pending, it's subject to further information being received. And just to read out a chat question there, Aisha has asked whether an admission interview is required before the issue of a confirmation letter or offer letter. I know we don't do admission interviews for LLM students. I suppose there have been exceptional situations once or twice or maybe more, whereby students who do not necessarily have English language proficiency, they haven't met the requirements at admissions level at university. There have been exceptions allowed whereby an interview would have been carried out to assess that applicant's proficiency, ability for speaking English. But otherwise, no, we don't have admission interviews.
Just to add to Melissa's point, we understand that there might be some of you who currently have a live application in the system in the UCC Apply portal. So thank you for all the efforts and time you've spent submitting the online applications. Very often, students might think that they have submitted all the supporting documents, but there might be one or two missing. So it's important to I suppose, keep an eye on the emails in case there are any requests to upload supporting documentation, or possibly if there is anything that the admissions team can't quite understand or is not clear from the documentation submitted, they will be looking for further clarification. So just to anybody here who might not have heard back from us, just check your email and see was there possibly any correspondence looking for further clarification.
And that's important advice, because offers can expire and they can elapse. Like, even if you've been issued with a conditional offer and it could be subject to further documentation being provided, perhaps you need to give evidence of English language proficiency. If you delay with that, or if you haven't seen the update to your application, like, the offer can expire or lapse after a period of time. So it's important to kind of monitor the portal and monitor your application once it has been submitted. Question there from Aisha: student can apply for LLM from any different background? Well, yes. So as we outlined there in our presentations, like for the LLM International Business Law, applicants can have a primary honours law degree. It has to be a minimum UCC equivalent of a 2H1. But also applicants could have professional experience. They could have prior learning, which is relevant to the content of the business law program, or relevant to the content of the law, technology and innovation program. So students, applicants can be from very different backgrounds. And I know over the past couple of years, we've had LLM business law students who have graduated or who are about to graduate in the forthcoming conference, who would have previously had undergraduate qualifications in science and engineering related disciplines as well. So yeah, in principle, you can apply from any different background, but remember that it is important in your application to emphasize how your prior experience could be relevant to a law program. And again, that will be something which will be heeded when we're considering the applications. Any other questions? And like Professor Lynch was saying, we have relatively small groups of students as well. So as program directors, we do tend to get to know the students during the academic year. We're often teaching the same students in particular modules. So I think often the students like that as well. It's not as kind of distant a relationship as you would find in some undergraduate classes. Continuous assessment can be a more welcome experience as well. Perhaps they've got the pressure cooker and the cauldron of exams. So different skills and different experiences, but something which I think our students over the past couple of years have enjoyed in a way, or at least the feedback has been good, Zita. we think in a way so far.
I'm just thinking before we close, since there are no more questions coming in, would we revert back to Neve, our wonderful student, if there was any last piece of advice she would like to give any students who are considering the international business law or the law, technology and innovation program, or in general a postgraduate law degree here at UCC. Is there anything, Neve, that any encouraging words you would like to conclude with?
Thanks, Zita. Just before I forget this, there's a question in the Q&A box as well at the top from another student, just maybe after I finish speaking. I have no regrets about doing this program. If I was to go back and do it again, I would do it 10 times over. I feel I've developed so much more professionally since my bachelor's degree, just to get that bit older and to get that more experience with commercial knowledge, even being able to make presentations in front of people. And I did a presentation about doing masters as well a couple of days ago, and many students were asking as well, if you're trying to qualify in Ireland, we'll say specifically, there's FE1s for being a solicitor, and then if you're doing King's Inn, there's certain subjects as well. So maybe people who haven't done these subjects in law, or if you're coming from another program, there's an option sometimes to choose these subjects, and it's a chance for you to get these subjects done in the masters. I know we'll say company law, or a couple of them are escaping me now, but you can look them up online. There's King's and FE1s. So a lot of students like to pick these and to get them done while they're doing the masters, and that's just a good chance as well to get you on the way to qualification. And that's it really. I think everything was very well covered by Professor McCarthy and Professor Lynch as well. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve. And that question, which we've just missed, so it's from Melissa again. Melissa, you're asking about whether the business law LLM also includes a comparable professional accreditation or recognition like the LLM ADR. No, it doesn't. Okay, so there's no kind of professional accreditation or recognition attached to an LLM international business law qualification. And thanks, Neve, for your time as well today.
So if there are no more questions from the audience, we might wrap up the webinar here. We would like to thank all of the students who joined us live, all of the UCC team who took the time to talk to the audience this afternoon. As we already mentioned, the recording will be available to all of you who are here live, but also to all the students who previously registered for this event but couldn't join us live. We will share the PowerPoint presentations of Professor Lynch and Dr. McCarthy with all the registered students as well. And we will also include our contact details. Possibly in the coming days or weeks, you might think of more questions, and we just want to ensure you that we are here to support you going forward. So please feel free to reach to us at any point after this event as well. So if there are no more questions from the audience, we would like to thank you for taking the time, and we look forward to welcoming you to the University College Core Campus and to the UCC School of Law, hopefully in a very near future.
Thank you. Thanks again, Zita.
Thank you again. Have a nice day.